There's a system that has been quietly shaping our world for over 50 years. It influences prices, energy, and even government policy across the globe. And no, it's not the stock market. It's not the banking system either. It's called the petrodollar. And once you understand how it works, you'll never look at the world economy the same way again. Before we dive in, we need to understand one thing. Why is oil so important in the first place? We use oil to fuel our cars, airplanes, and ships. We use it to make plastics, chemicals, and fertilizers. In many countries, it's still used to generate electricity. Basically, our entire modern economy runs on oil. And because oil is so essential, countries are constantly buying and selling it. Some nations produce a lot of it, like Saudi Arabia. Others consume massive amounts but produce very little, like Japan. This creates one of the largest global markets in human history. So how did the US dollar end up controlling this massive global market? To understand that, we need to go back to the end of World War II. While most of the world was left in ruins, the United States came out with its economy and manufacturing base completely intact. This gave America enormous economic power. In 1944, world leaders gathered at the Bretton Woods Conference and agreed to make the US dollar the foundation of the global financial system. The dollar was linked to gold and other currencies were tied to the dollar. It was a new world financial order, and America was at the center of it. But in 1971, something big happened. President Nixon decided to disconnect the US dollar from the gold standard. This decision became known as the Nixon shock. The world moved from a gold-backed economy to what we call a fiat currency system. Fiat currency is government-issued money that isn't backed by any physical commodity. Its value comes from public trust and economic stability. Even after this change, the dollar stayed dominant. Because the US economy was massive, the government was stable, and most international transactions were already happening in dollars. The US dollar became what's known as the world's reserve currency, meaning countries around the world started holding large amounts of it in their central banks. Then came 1973, and everything changed. Arab oil-producing countries decided to stop selling oil to nations that were supporting Israel in the Yom Kippur War, including the United States. Almost overnight, oil prices quadrupled. Gas stations ran dry. Western economies were hit with severe shortages and skyrocketing inflation. It was one of the biggest economic shocks of the 20th century. America needed a solution, fast. So the United States struck a landmark deal with Saudi Arabia, one of the world's most powerful oil producers. The agreement was straightforward. Saudi Arabia would sell its oil exclusively in US dollars. In return, the United States would provide military protection and security support. Because Saudi Arabia was the most influential oil producer, other major producers soon followed the same model. Now, if any country anywhere in the world wanted to buy oil, they needed US dollars first. And that is exactly how the petrodollar system was born. Here's where it gets really interesting. If every country needs oil, and oil can only be bought with dollars, then every country in the world needs dollars. Think about Japan. Japan doesn't produce much oil, but it needs enormous amounts to power its economy. So Japan has to first earn or acquire US dollars, then keep dollar reserves ready at all times, and then use those dollars to buy oil on the global market. This creates a constant and massive global demand for the US dollar. And that demand gives America three major advantages. First, the dollar stays strong because everyone needs it. Second, the US government can borrow money more easily and at lower interest rates. And third, America can use its financial system as a tool of influence because so many international transactions flow through US banks. Now here's something most people don't know about. What happens to all those dollars that oil-producing countries earn? They don't just sit on piles of cash, they invest it. And this process is called petrodollar recycling. Oil-producing nations pour those dollars back into US government bonds, American companies, real estate, and global financial markets. This creates a powerful loop. Countries buy oil with dollars. Oil producers earn those dollars. Oil producers invest those dollars back into US assets, and the dollar stays strong. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that has kept America at the center of global finance for decades. In recent years, some countries have started pushing back against this system. Nations like Russia, China, India, and Venezuela have been exploring ways to trade oil in other currencies. like the euro or the Chinese yuan. The BRICS alliance, a partnership of major emerging economies, has made reducing dependence on the US dollar one of its key goals. So the big question is the petrodollar system coming to an end? The honest answer is not anytime soon. Switching away from the dollar isn't just about changing a payment method. It means disrupting decades of contracts, pricing models, hedging systems, and insurance frameworks. The US dollar offers something no other currency currently can: massive liquidity. You can move billions of dollars without crashing the market. It also comes with strong legal protections that other currencies simply don't offer yet. Think of it this way: it's like trying to get the entire world to switch from one platform to a brand new one overnight. Even if the new option is promising, the switching cost is enormous. That said, Russia and China are making real moves. Russia has increased oil trade with China settled in Chinese yuan. It has reduced its holdings of US Treasury bonds. And it has started settling some transactions in rubles. China, on the other hand, has introduced yuan-denominated oil contracts and is actively encouraging its trading partners to settle deals in yuan. But here's the key. Both countries are reducing dollar use only where it's politically necessary, especially under US sanctions. When it's convenient and efficient, they still use dollars. This is a gradual shift, not a sudden revolution. The petrodollar system has quietly shaped the world economy for more than 50 years. It's not just about oil or money, it's about power, global influence, and economic stability. The world is slowly changing, and the role of the dollar is evolving with it. Whether the petrodollar system will last another 50 years or be replaced by something entirely new is one of the most important questions in global economics today. Thanks for watching, and if you found this valuable, stay tuned because there's a lot more to uncover.